This is a place where I feel
what I'm going to be using to get everything cleaned up. I got this wrench that came with the bike. I'm going to use that to take the axle off. Paper towels, grease for the axle, degreaser to clean the wheel, and then carb cleaner to clean all the metal parts. Since we're not adjusting the chain tension, we're going to leave these adjusters alone. Always be sure to keep your hardware organized. A good buddy of mine showed me a trick. If you support the wheel with your foot, it's easier to take the axle in and out without scuffing it up. Normally you want to try and keep your axle somewhere where it's not going to get dirty. You can lean it up on your stand like that, or I like to put it up on the table on a paper towel, but it doesn't matter now since we're about to clean it and relube it. Then you get your chain off the sprocket. Next, on the drive side, we'll have a little spacer, which I'm going to clean right now, but also make sure to keep track of it so you don't lose it. There's also a spacer on the brake side. It's also easy to lose track of. I like to pull the caliper out from between the wheel and the swing arm so that I don't scuff up the wheel whenever I go to pull it out. As you can see, the sprocket as well as the whole wheel is super dirty, and it's pretty difficult to clean while it's on the bike, so I'm going to take this opportunity to clean it out. I just have some dedicated shop rags and my degreaser. I'm going to go to town on this thing. This is also a good opportunity to inspect your sprocket. Make sure your chain's on straight and it isn't wearing excessively. Be sure to not get any harsh chemicals into these seals or the bearings. And once I'm done cleaning the wheel, I'm going to use some brake clean to clean off the rotor from any degreaser or junk from the wheel, just so I don't lose any braking efficiency. And I'm going to use a clean rag so I'm not spreading stuff back onto the rotor. Got everything nice and clean. I'll also take this opportunity to clean off the back of the bike. It's more accessible with the wheel off. Now we got everything nice and clean. Time to get that grease on the axle. We just want to get a thin film over the whole axle. Putting the wheel back on is a bit of a juggling act. You have a couple spacers in the wheel, and then you have to get the axle through the wheel, the swing arm, and then through the brake caliper, and then back through the swing arm without the spacers falling out. And that's the tough part. So first I'll take the axle and the first adjuster block. So first I'll roll the wheel back in and get the chain over the sprocket. Keep the brake caliper out of the way so it doesn't scratch up the rim. And get the chain back over the sprocket. Normally you shouldn't have to force the axle through, but mine's a little bit bent, so I'm gonna have to force it in. A little hack is you can use a little bit of grease to keep the spacer in place. This goes over a slot on the inside of the swing arm to line up the caliper. The official torque spec for the axle nut is 93 foot-pounds. I know about how that feels, so I usually just tighten it by hand so that the castle nut is lined up with the hole so that you can put your cotter pin through. And then I always like to go back over and clean up any grease that I might have gotten on the bike while putting the axle on. Don't worry if your axle isn't all the way against the adjuster. Next time you ride, the chain will pull it all the way up. And once you get your wheel back on, you want to make sure to come over here and pump up the brake lever. When you put the rotor back between the pads, you spread them apart so there won't be any pressure on the lever. If there's no pressure on the lever, you won't have any brakes. Hopefully that helped you guys out. Taking the axle on and off can be real difficult the first couple times. If it did help you, I'd love it if you leave a like and subscribe. I'm going to be posting more tips like this in the future.